I have never wanted to annotate a book more than this one. Hi, welcome back to Books Like Fun. I'm Bo, and today I want to talk about The Do-Over. I just finished reading this book, and I have never wanted to annotate a book more than when I was reading this book. This book is about a girl named Emily, and she is going to school on Valentine's Day, and she's super excited to see her boyfriend for Valentine's Day. And fate steps in, I guess, and it's like a Groundhog Day kind of situation where she has to repeat Valentine's Day over and over and over again. And I just couldn't help but annotate this book as I was reading it. I got out my pen and my highlighter, and I couldn't help it. There were so many parts in this book that I had to highlight and make a comment about. Today, I want to look at 1-star reviews of The Do-Over because I want to see what other people thought about this book and see if I agree or disagree with them. I actually wasn't sure I was going to finish this book when I first started reading it. There were parts that irritated me about it, and that's when I decided to start annotating it and highlighting stuff and writing in the margins. And I thought maybe if I annotated it, I could get my rants out and finish the book, because I don't like not finishing books. Goodreads says this is a righteous young adult romp for fans of Recommended for You and A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. I haven't heard of either one of those. A teen girl has the worst Valentine's Day ever, only to relive it over and over again. So it's like Groundhog Day. I like Groundhog Day type stories. Let's see. There's not very many 1-star reviews. Less than 1% of Goodreads reviewers, people who have reviewed on Goodreads, less than 1% of them rated this book 1 star. Wow. I gave it 4 stars. I haven't put my review in Goodreads yet, but I rated it 4 stars on my own. And 44% of people agreed with me. So let's see about those 1-star reviews. This person said they didn't finish on page 158. I'm curious now. What's on page 158? 158. They should have kept going. After 158, it gets pretty good. Here's some things that led me to did not finish. Repetitive. It's a Groundhog Day type story. Of course it's going to be repetitive. Insta-love. I hate this in books. I don't think there was insta-love. There's little to no chemistry between the two. I don't agree with that either. I think there's chemistry between Emily and the other guy. I don't want to spoil anything with this video, but I think there's chemistry. The pacing was off. We would randomly switch to a different scene so quickly. That I agree with. There's one part that I can think of where she wakes up at home and she's getting ready or something, and then all of a sudden she's walking into a classroom, I think into chemistry, which is in the middle of the day or 4th period or something like that, the class she has with the guy that she keeps running into on the cover. There's no transition. Even if there was a sentence that said I headed off to school or something, would be better than just jumping real quick to her walking into a classroom. So that I agree with. Unrealistic. If my car went up in flames, I would not get into the car with someone else and go into school like nothing ever happened, let alone do it repeatedly day after day. And you know it's going to happen. It's just me though. Girlie literally does not use her brain. Yeah, I mean, I would think that she would need to do something else after getting into the accidents. I've been in accidents. You don't just go off to school. So I agree with that too. predictable to the point where I was questioning why this book even exists. Back to the repetitive plot. Why did that need to happen? I do think part of it was repetitive. It was very clear what the theme of the book was supposed to be. Again, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read it yet, but it was very, very clear. The theme was kind of shoved in your face throughout the whole thing. I even highlighted it a couple of times throughout the book, so I knew right away what the theme was. Another 1-star review. I'm shocked and saddened by this book. An F word in the first chapter. References to steamy romance books. One good thing she said was that it didn't have any bedroom scenes between the characters themselves. And I appreciate that too. I'm not really into the really spicy romance type stuff, and this is a young adult, so there shouldn't be anything really spicy in it anyway. Another review says, I have never met a more annoying main character. All she did was roll her eyes and complain about everything. It was, oh, poor M, the entire book, and it was exhausting to read. I suppose this being a young adult book may be the excuse to create the most self-centered character of all time, but the drama and selfishness she displayed overwhelmed my ability to sympathize with any actual conflict or change she faced. Yeah, I agree with that too. These reviews are going to make me want to lower my 4-star rating. She was kind of poor Emily throughout the entire book, and it was kind of annoying. But it is a young adult book, and I mean, teenagers can be that way. I have a teenager. She says, also, how many times can an author write a character saying, It's an annoying speech crutch in real life, and it's annoying to read. People say, though, a lot. And I think in movies and YouTube, a lot of people try to edit out their ums. I try to not say a whole lot, but it's hard. It happens, and people say It's not unrealistic that people say Another 1-star says, you know your book is bad when I can guess the entire plot based off the first chapter of the book. I mean, we know that it's going to be a Groundhog Day type of book. It tells us that she's going to relive Valentine's Day over and over again. But I do agree with being able to predict the plot. I knew which day was going to end the loop immediately. I knew. One said, what a waste of Taylor Swift lyrics. I do agree with this review on their ideas about Nick, that he was pretentious, and one line, which I don't know that this is necessarily a spoiler, but he asks Emily, or Emily mentions something about Metallica, and he says, you like Metallica? Name 3 songs. And that bugged me too, because who does that? You know, like, you don't have to name 3 songs to like a band. Maybe you like 1 song of a band. Who cares? Don't be that person. And this person didn't finish it either. At first. Then they got the flu and had nothing better to do, so they finished it. And they said it wasn't as bad as they thought, but they stand by the things they said in their review. And parts of the book were sweet. And I agree that parts of the book were sweet. So let's see 2-star reviews. This book averages 3.97 stars. I gave it 4. Cringy but easy read. Yeah, parts were cringy. Marvelous waste of time. You know, I agree with that. I finished it. I wasn't sure I was going to finish it, but I did. And I that's a great way to put it. Marvelous waste of time. Only 3% of reviewers rated it 2 stars. 44% 4 stars, 28% 5 stars, 22% 3 stars. Let me start by saying that I love a good Groundhog Day story and the tropes that come with it. Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver was one of my favorites when I was a teenager. I loved that book too. That was such a great book. If you haven't read Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, read it. It's good. I totally forgot about that book. But unfortunately, The Do-Over did not manage to do what Before I Fall did, and I'd recommend you just read Before I Fall instead. So for the premise, she gave it 5 out of 5. The family drama, 5 out of 5. The character believability, 1.5 out of 5. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The romantic buy-in, 1 out of 5. I would rate that higher, I think. This next 2-star review said, Emily is an annoying brat, Nick is more jerk than not, and they have very limited chemistry. As a whole, it reads more middle grade than young adult. I could have seen myself enjoying this book when I was maybe 13, 14 years old, but not so much now, unfortunately. I probably won't be reading a whole lot of young adult books anymore. I read some because I'm an English teacher and I want to be able to recommend books to my students, but I don't enjoy them as much as I used to because, I mean, I'm older now. I'll probably be reading and talking about more books geared for adults rather than young adults. This 2-star review says, the characters lacked an actual emotional connection and both of the main characters weren't very likable. Yeah, I didn't like them all the time. I thought they made stupid decisions sometimes. This one says, I absolutely hated the main character in the book. There were some parts that physically made me cringe because of the way she was speaking. Okay, now just for the heck of it, let's look at a couple of 5-star reviews. So this 5-star review says, it's giving See You in Chemistry from Drake and Josh, Before I Fall, Easy A, every Taylor Swift song ever, and that one scene in Santa Claus 2 where Scott gets Carol the baby doll. I didn't rate this 5 stars. It seems like a lot of people who rated this high really liked the Taylor Swift references. I ate this up, all the Taylor Swift references, really cute, really enjoyed this one. Okay, so this was the first Lynn Painter book I've read. I picked it up because a book club that I recently joined but haven't been able to go to a meeting yet was reading it. So I didn't get to talk to the book club about this, but I'm glad I read it. I don't wish I didn't read it, but I agree with some things that the lower reviews said, and I agree with some things that the higher reviews said. If you like young adult romances, read it. Go for it. If you don't, maybe stay away from it, because parts are cringe and parts are cute. You do you. So that is The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. If you are interested in seeing all the books that I have by Stephen King, click right there. See you in my next video. Bye.